I think going back to the quality thing of like the fact that like a lot of it's kind of well known that the quality of Tesla cars is not always there, but still people like buy into the idea of Elon Musk and his thing. And I think that's something that's very interesting too, that like for some reason, even though he has those like flaws in the production and whatever, he's still like forgiven for some reason, which I don't really understand why. But potentially it's because he was like the first one that's like really, because he's taken that risk of like, I'm going to push electric cars onto the world, even if the world doesn't want electric cars almost. And he's just like been at the forefront um, of that and just pushing it forward. But at the same time, it feels like how long will that hold? How will he? I just don't really see it. It seems like when all these other companies start building electric cars,
Economies of scale.
yeah, the economy of scale, yeah, it feels like it's going to be so hard for him to compete with that, even if he has that buying power, and even if people are like buying into the fact that he will try to get something done, even if he'll go bankrupt, which I think is like one of the main things why he's able to like get people to buy a car before it's even produced, because people know that he'll try to get that car done if it takes him going bankrupt to do it.
I think also because he makes the product super exciting. If you look at the Cybertruck, there's nothing that looks like it. Is it bulletproof? I've heard that it's like bulletproof,
so, yeah.
And it's just this massive, not awkward looking. It's really, really cool, but it's different, very, very different, and that thing alone just makes people interested. And if you have money, you'll be super keen to buy it. Like, yeah, I own a Cybertruck, and the name itself is super cool as well. So I think that as long as he keeps on making these promises, and in some way he can, what do you call it, like uphold or stay true to what he's saying, without too many disappointments, people will still be willing to buy his stuff before the production even starts. I mean, it's the same. I think it's the same with Apple in a way. I mean, not that they sell. I don't know if they sell like Q points for to be able to buy stuff.
Okay.
But I'm just thinking about the headphones that they created. The new what do they call them? AirPod Max, the big ones that go around your head. It's such a weird and different product in a way, compared to everyone else, like Sennheiser or Sony or Bose. It's very different and very expensive, but it's sold out within the first couple of minutes, I think, of it being released, without people even knowing the sound quality or the build quality or anything like that. They just saw pictures, maybe MKBHD did some reviews on it, and it's like, yeah, it's cool, but different. So I think as long as they keep on making new things that are very, very different, and if they can predict where the future is going. I mean, in a way, they predict and also create the future in an accurate way. I mean, if you look back at BMW i8 and BMW i3, those were two hybrid semi or like hybrid cars that BMW made. I don't think it went too well when they launched. They look very futuristic in a sense,
but in the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly. So they kind of misinterpreted, or they weren't able to predict what the future is going to look like properly.
So because it felt like they were looking back on how we had created the future before, and this is how the future looked before, and they tried to make that something new. But Tesla looks just like a regular sports car, but a bit different in a way, and that's the future. There's nothing like futuristic about it. So yeah, I think you're totally right on that.
And the same with Apple, like the computers they make or the phones they make are pretty similar from the previous iterations. There's not a bunch of bells and whistles that
No,
are
yeah.
like different. If you look at Find Me X, I think it's Xiaomi or Oppo who
Okay.
creates they have the macro lens that is actually like a micro
Oh,
lens,
yeah, yeah.
so you can look really, really close up on fabrics or
Yeah.
fingerprints or whatever. It's a super cool camera and a super cool feature, but it's not really what the future looks like. It's not
No.
really what people want from a
No.
premium phone. And I think that the companies that are best at predicting the future and best at creating the vision as well are the ones that will succeed in the end.
And
Yeah.
it's also the ones right now that had a visionary leader, because they didn't tell everyone that this feature is really good if you do this. They just created a vision and created a sense of purpose, and people were like buying into that picture. And then we don't care about some sort of extra features on the phone or on the car. It's just like, I like your vision of the future.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
And Apple, in a way, they are a bit sneaky in that department, because they they take features that are successful from other phone companies or computer companies or whatever, from other companies, and then they repackage it and sell it as their new feature. Like, I don't know, maybe not fingerprint sensors or stuff like that, but they have some features that have been like, this has been established by LG a couple of years ago, like the wide angle lens for the cameras. LG V30, I think, had one of the first phones with a wide angle lens, and LG is no longer a company.
No.
And people are like, this new feature is so cool, it's so awesome, and people that are maybe fanboys of Android are like, well, this feature's been on the market for 5 years. So
but that's the thing. I think those kind of people are not the majority, and I think that Apple attentions more to the details around the products more than focusing on the products. They think more of their community. What would people like to have on their phone, rather than, we can now create a camera which will give me this wide lens, whatever, which will give a really cool feature. And then, we can do it, so let's do it. Apple are more thinking about, but would people like to have this? How, like, even if when you get the iPhone home, the packaging is crazy good, where when you open it, it feels like it's a spaceship or whatever. Just like, it's really hard, and I'm like,
smoke coming out.
Yeah. And that's like super cool, and you're like so into get this new phone started. But the other ones, you just get a box, you open it, okay, cool, here's that. And that's the thing. I think they put attention to details which the other companies are not.
Yeah, you mean like the details that people actually will care about when in the end,
or doesn't necessarily have to know that they care about, but they do when they get to know the features. Then they start to care about it. Or even if they maybe not even care about it, they haven't thought about the packaging, but they just like get a good sense of feeling when they open the phone.
And they're really good at analyzing and realizing what the consumers, as you say, care about and don't care about, and what we're willing to buy and willing to do. Like, I mean, nowadays you buy a phone and you get the phone. Before, you got the charger, you maybe got a case, you maybe got a pair of headphones, you got all these accessories that from now on and forth, you'll have to buy the charger separately. You'll have to buy the headphones separately, everything separately. And if you want to have a phone with like longer battery life, you can't get that through Apple, but you can get one of these MagSafes that you attach to the back of the phone. So it's like an additional battery pack. It's genius in a way, but it also kind of screws over your customers. But we don't really even pay attention to the fact that we're getting screwed over.
Because it's a necessity. We need the headphones now. For 10 years ago, people didn't use the phone to listen to music, or I did, but like not everyone. And maybe it's just like, this is another revenue stream that we can have, because people will buy it anyways, and 6 months later they won't even think about that they bought these headphones.
Exactly. And how do they justify it? They package it as if we're doing this from an environmental standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want the boxes to be too big, containing all these things. And you're like, well, you know, people, if it's a different fast charging, so there's different speed of charge, you want to have the newest charger, so you're going to buy it anyways. So that argument doesn't really hold up, in my opinion.
No.
Yeah, I think Apple and Tesla, or like Elon Musk in general, they're really good at predicting the future and knowing what the customers are expecting and what they're okay with compromises they're okay with.
Then they also do some sort of beta testing before any other company does it, because they are in front of line. They just we try this, and 1 year later all the other cell phone companies did the same. That's the thing. They are bold. They are okay with that. Some people will criticize this, and other people will doesn't care at all. And and they also probably just I think with Steve Jobs and Elon Musk and these visionary leaders, that's the modern way of having a company. Like, even if we look at Donald Trump, that's same kind of character, where people doesn't care about the Republicans, they care about Trump. And people care about Elon Musk, not to compare those two people, but the same thing. It's the character,
the
strong leader, the visionary person that people are like, yeah, I follow you. I won't follow this company, but I will follow you, and that means that I will use your company's products. So they just find a way, and also that maybe a person as a brand have more. You can skip, or you're just like more. You are okay if there's crisis and stuff, like you can just redo stuff as a person. A brand could be like totally ruined if something happens, like, oh, we have a very low salary in our fabrics or whatever to our workers, but a person, if they do something wrong, they can like create a new way of thinking, or just like skip that sort of thing and just like, it's fine. So rehabilitering,
rehab.
Rehab.
They can rehab from that crisis much easier, and that's more efficient for a company to have a person doing that than the company itself.
And that's also, I think, the question is also with like that, like removing the charger thing. Apple does that. The other companies don't like it, or they say that they don't like it, but then they do it themselves. The question there, I think, is like also, does Apple doing it, does that force the other companies to do it too? Because of the fact that, like, if Apple does it, then what happens? People will, like you say, people will still want the fastest charger. So they'll buy the phone and they'll buy the charger, which means that I'm guessing that this is what the case is. It might not be, but I'm guessing that the margins for Apple will go up because of the fact that, like, people buy the phone and the charger. And so other companies now will lose money because they don't take advantage of this thing that Apple does, which means that Apple will then get even bigger than they can get, because they need to then do the same thing in order to have the same profit margins. So they kind of, I'm not sure that that is the case, but I'm guessing that that could be the case, that the other companies then get forced to actually do the same thing, because otherwise they don't have the same profit margins, so they can't compete with Apple anymore, and Apple takes over even more.
But at the same time, that's I agree with you, but at the same time, it feels like they could also be like, this is not necessary. This is like really not nice to the customers, and like take profit from that instead. Like, we won't charge you for a charger and headphones. You will get it in the same price, which the price will be a bit higher than if you only buy the phone. But still, you will get everything at the same time because you will need it. But they didn't profit from that. Instead, they just did what Apple did. And that's also kind of weird. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to see more content from us, you can follow us on our main channel, The Exit Strategy, or you can listen to us on any podcast platform.